Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and here we are again in the 5 differences between series, today talking about differences between good and bad offense players. Now, of course, if you don't follow all these rules, I'm not calling you like a horrible offense player. I'm just saying there's always room to improve, there's always some stuff to do. And as well with this, quite a few of these are pretty simple, and you think, when you're watching the video, you're like, okay, I always do that. But honestly, put yourself to the test, maybe record one of your gameplays and see if you are following all these tips, as a lot of times you think you're doing something, then in game you're not following it at all, and if you do follow these tips, I feel like it will help you really quite a lot. Anyways, with that said, let's get straight on to the video. Now, to my first main difference, I say this is a very simple thing, but a thing that I've personally had a lot of struggles with, and that when I watch people's replays, when I watch people's games, they seem to have a lot of struggle with this too, and it's very simple. The tip is to simply actually stay behind your tanks. Now, I don't know exactly why this is, but I feel like especially when you're playing an offensive character, for some reason you just get in front of your tanks, and a lot of the times that leads to you getting picked off. Now, I can't say exactly what this is again. Maybe it's just because, you have the thrill of offense, you want to get in, you want to get close, you want to do damage. But a lot of the times, getting in front of your tanks, getting in front of your Reinhardt shield will just lead to your death. And just going around your Reinhardt, getting melee range will lead to your death. Really, you should wait for your tanks. You should go in behind your tanks and go in when you have a solid amount of time where you can put out your very solid DPS. I know this is very simple, but there are so many people that I feel like don't really follow this tip, and there's so much times where you think, maybe I could just get past my tank, go for a kill, and then get back. I'd say be a little bit more careful though, stay behind your tank, and make sure that you keep outputting that consistent DPS, instead of a little bit more DPS burst, but risking your own life. Really just keep your life really high in priority. You matter a lot, you do a lot of damage, so at least try to stay alive, and tanks can really help you do that. Now, as far as another thing, if you're playing somebody like Reaper, somebody like Genji, somebody like Tracer, please, from now on, communicate with your team when you're going in and when you're going to flank behind the enemy team, without your team being right next to you. I feel like this is a huge problem that I see in a majority of games with people that are flanker offensive heroes. They go in and their team has no idea when they're going in. Then it just happens that the offensive hero, the flanker, gets shot, dies, and then the rest of the team runs in 5v6, and then everyone's just really pissed off at each other, simply because there was no communication. Really, I'd say put in a little bit extra effort into your communication. If you are playing a flanker, it can really help your team a lot. Let them know when they're going in, when they're supposed to go in. Otherwise, a lot of times, just miscommunication happens. People go in, people die, and you waste a lot of time. This is a huge tip. Please try this out and try to talk to your team. I feel like a lot of times, offense people think, though they can just go in and the rest of the team will follow. A lot of times they won't do it. A lot of times it's kind of hard to know when your offense is actually going in. So just tell your team and it'll make the games a lot easier. Now, next I have another thing that's pretty stinking simple that I feel like a lot of people actually do also ignore, which is to actually pick an offense hero based on your team comp that will make the best wombo combos possible. I feel like one of the really great things about a lot of the offense heroes is that with a special team comp, they can do amazing. They can go in, they can get these combos and just take the enemies out. But a lot of the times, these offense players just aren't playing the heroes that they need to play at the time. Now, of course, you won't always be able to play every hero in the game, but if you can possibly, go with the right hero with your team comp, it can really help you a lot. Now, for some examples of these really nice combos, I'd said Ana Soldier, especially in PTR, it's really great. Zarya Tracer, of course, McCree Reinhardt, as, Reinhardt can just hold a shield, McCree can do insane amount of DPS, and then someone like Genji Winston or Tracer Winston. There's a lot of really good combos. Just look a little bit more into your team comp, and don't just insta-lock an offense hero simply because you want to play them. Play someone that will actually help your team comp. It'll help you a lot better. And just don't randomly pick offense hero. Kind of think through who you're playing. Think, I'm going to be playing Reaper because we have a Zarya that's going to be pulling them all together. Or let's say you have a Mei that's going to be freezing them all. I can go in, I can ult, I can clear the enemy team. Try to go with a mindset like that. Try to go, what will be the best combos? What will give my team the highest chance to win? Instead of just what offense hero do I want to play at this time. To the next thing I have in mind, it's actually, kind of opposite of number 4, which is instead of, trying to flank with your team and, communicate with them, what you should also try to do quite a bit is actually stay with your team and don't always try to flank. Now, I see this happen a lot. There's a lot of offense players, especially people like Tracer, people like Genji, where they will only 100% of the time try to flank the other team. They're just getting hit by Roadhogs, they're getting killed by people like Widowmaker, but they just keep going in. They keep trying to get in the back line, trying to kill people. Just think for a second and realize that sometimes being close to your front line can make your front line win some fights, and sticking with your team can be very nice. It can help your team win a lot of team fights, and sure, flanking can be very nice. If you can flank behind the enemy team and, kill their mercy, take their supports out, make your team win, that's all fine and dandy. But if you're happening to flank and it's not working at all for your team, try something new, try to stay with your team, and try to do some work from there instead of, always trying to get behind the enemy lines. Sometimes it's just not going to work. And as far as my final tip for offense players, I'd say especially if you are a mainly offense player, learn at least a flanker, a close range DPS, and a far range DPS. Learn all three of those characters. Now, of course, a close range DPS could be someone like Tracer, someone like Reaper. Far range DPS could be someone like, Widowmaker, Soldier, or, McCree. And then, of course, a flanker could be someone like Genji or someone like Tracer again. You should try to learn at least one of these three different types of offensive heroes, as if you do have that down, you can fit in almost every single team comp. Now, of course, sometimes, a Genji would fit a little bit better than a Tracer in a team comp, or a Tracer would fit a little bit better than a Genji, but if you at least have a flanker, I feel like you're obviously going to be doing decently well. You can fit at least okay into most team comps, and that's what I feel really matters. Offense heroes, if they fit into a team comp, they do amazing. They can just shred the enemy team, go in, kill them, or stay far away and just do a lot of damage behind a Reinhardt shield or behind a Diva shield. While if you have the wrong character for your team comp, or if you simply just play like three, far range heroes, let's say you play a McCree, Soldier, and Widowmaker, well, obviously you're really not going to do way too well with a team comp that has to go in all the time. You should try to learn these different characters. You should try to learn at least these three different roles, and from there you can fit your team comps. And I'd also say, do make sure that you're switching through these. If your team comp's changing up, switch through the hero that you're playing. Don't keep playing the same guy all the time as always, and you'll be doing really, really well. Anyways, there we go with the 5 differences that I very often see between a very good attack player and a very bad offensive player. There's quite a few differences, and I do think that these are really some of the main ones that you can really try to hone in on to improve at least pretty freaking quickly. Of course, as well, if you do happen to know any more things than this, make sure to comment them down in the comment section below. We just want to help each other get better and help the community get better. That's really all this video is about. As well, if you did enjoy, make sure to press that like button, subscribe if you want to see any more content like this or any news in the future, and as always, have a wonderful day.